Boom. TC, do your thing.
Show number 869.
You remembered.
Ow!
We had a big meeting beforehand.
Yeah,
Discussing
we did. What were we talking about?
this
Yeah.
shark right here.
It's Shark Week.
This Shark
at the
Night.
boardroom.
Shark Night.
Yeah,
It was
Shark
one of
Night.
our favorite guests.
Absolutely.
One of our
Dave Ebert's back in the
It was
house.
one of our favorite guests. We love having on the show.
Well, he scares the shit out of us every time. And,
Yeah, we don't go.
yeah.
We don't go surfing until like January.
We're never going in the ocean again.
Ever.
Welcome back, by the way.
Hey, thanks. Glad
Yeah.
to be here. It's always awesome.
It's great to have you back.
Yeah.
Now you've been on trips to.
Yeah, I just been to Ecuador, Peru, and South Africa.
For shark findings.
Yeah, been on a great lost shark hunt. Actually, been going to. Got to have one of my main projects is searching for lost sharks.
What do locals go? What happens? Do locals go? What the hell is this thing? They call you up. Like,
Oh, the locals here. Oh, you mean it's kind of.
yeah. If you're in Ecuador, I mean, how do you know you're going to go to Ecuador and find something that you might not have seen before?
Well, because that's what I do. I look at what I do is I go and work in a lot of different countries, and I look for sharks that haven't been seen for years. Because everybody gets focused on like the white sharks or tiger sharks, the charismatic ones, but the ones I look for are kind of like fall off people's radar. Like I was just one of the sharks I was looking for in Ecuador hasn't been seen since 1961, and these are species that might actually be going extinct. But nobody's paying any attention because they always want to go diving with white sharks or tiger sharks.
Right.
Yeah,
like that gal in video, right? You see?
Yeah, we were just talking about it.
Yeah.
But in particular, this shark that hasn't been seen since 1961, what shark is that?
That's the sharp fin hound shark.
The shark fin.
Sharp fin hound shark.
Shark fin hound shark.
Sharp fin.
Shark fin hound
Yeah.
shark.
It's similar to if you're familiar with the leopard shark in Monterey Bay.
Yeah.
It's very closely related to it. But this one, it was discovered back in 1961, and no one's ever seen it since. And that's the kind of sharks that I go look for because they'll tell you more about the health of the marine ecosystem than like a white shark.
Let me ask you a question. If let's say you go there, right?
Yeah.
And you got a girl, right? You're interested in, right? It could be a hot date. Would you rather go see her, or
Well, easy
or the
question
shark
for you.
No, for me, this is for dates for Ebert.
I'm going for the sharks.
Yeah, boy.
Heck yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Did
yeah.
you find it? The shark
No,
fin?
no. But I didn't find this one, but I kind of like worked with a lot of my colleagues down there, friends and stuff. That we have like a campaign going now to have the fishermen out looking for it. It's a very typical story, whether I'm in Ecuador or Africa or Asia, where you talk to the older guys, okay, qualified, that let's say people that are north of 50.
Fisherman?
Yeah, fishermen. And this happened time and again when I was in Ecuador and then when I was in northern Peru, is you show people this picture, and the older guys go, oh yeah, we saw this thing 30, 40 years ago. We used to catch them. The younger guys in their 20s, 30s, 40s, they have no idea. They've never seen this thing.
Right.
But the older guys, especially if you find some guys that are like, say, north of 60, 70, they'll like, oh yeah, they'll know. And they'll start telling you about it. They say, oh, we used to catch them here.
Right.
Here's how we used to fish for them. There's a habitat. And so, I mean, they know what they're talking about.
If they're on the road to extinction, how do you prevent that?
Well, the whole thing is to first of all find them, to let people know there, because a lot of times, especially the younger people I work with, they didn't even know the shark occurred there.
Have you heard of that shark before? Like before you went down to Ecuador, did you know about that shark?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
He's the expert.
I don't know.
He
Like-
knows everything.
I wrote the Sharks of the World, guys.
Well, that's the best-selling book.
Absolutely best-selling book. Yeah.
Is it really best-selling? How's it doing?
As far as I can tell, it's got royalty checks keep coming in. So I'm pretty happy with it.
He's cashing the
And if
checks.
you're looking for something for Christmas, a great Christmas present, Sharks of the World, Dave Ebert, go on Amazon.
Well, I have that book.
Or Princeton University Press. Yep.
What's great about your book is that it's all illustrated,
Yeah.
which
Yep.
is kind of also like, say, a scientific illustration.
Yeah, I work with a brilliant illustrator, Mark Dando, who's actually based in Plymouth in the UK. And there's really a key thing in doing a book like that is to like find an outstanding illustrator like Mark, because nobody's going to give a shit what I read, to be honest with you. But they love to look at the illustrations and stuff.
Right.
Then they might get down to actually reading what's in there and stuff. But
Right.
it's really books like that hold on the illustrations.
Right.
Well, what's interesting is I fish, and all of the fishing, like, there'll be you can buy like a laminated paper of rockfish. Mm-hmm. all illustrated.
Yeah.
They don't It's not a. They don't
Well,
normally
it's like-
don't do photographs.
Right.
For fish and sea life.
Right, because the thing is, most of them are dead. If you can get some nice underwater photos of them, that's really good. But there's like a small number you can actually see regularly to get photographs of. Most of them you can't, you don't see.
Did you see the sharp-finned shark down there?
No,
You didn't see it?
No, I didn't see it. No,
Right.
no. In fact, one of the few specimens that's actually in a museum collections at the California Academy of Sciences. So I went up there and examined that one there to get a feel for what I'm looking for. And then part of it's having just the knowledge of what other sharks are down there that you're looking at and you're seeing. And then a lot of it's going to fish markets. And a big thing is a lot of these countries have what's called a National Plan of Action for Sharks. So they actually develop kind of a conservation policy for a lot of these things. But again, it all comes down to they need to know what species they have. Then they need to have someone that can train people how to identify stuff. And so that's like what I do is I go down, I'll work with people, I'll teach them how to identify stuff, what to look for. I'll help them develop like a checklist of names and everything. And I meet some just wonderful people down there.
Now, who's sponsoring that deal for you? Something
yeah.
you pay for yourself? Or?
No. This is the Save Our Seas Foundation.
Okay.
Is like they're like my my best supporters out there. They're really.
I thought we were.
Well,
Behind us.
on air where you guys are, but
You didn't get the boardroom check yet? You get the boardroom check?
Yeah, it's in the mail.
in the mail. Okay, great.
But Save Our Seas.
Save Our Seas
Is
Foundation.
that a .org or something? Or
Yeah, it's a
okay.
.org based out of Switzerland, and they're like and they're just like one of the few organizations because most of these groups always wanted to fund like something like charismatic, like white sharks, but these guys have been just super supportive of all my research, and it's enabled me to go around to these different countries and stuff. Because a lot of these countries I go to are developing countries; they don't have much money and stuff. But this is where a group like Save Our Seas comes in, and with my expertise, I can go to these places and actually do a lot of really good work in these.
How many
places.
sharks have you discovered?
It's over 50.
Was it?
Yeah, right now that I've named. I've found a lot more. But I don't talk about as much as I find a lot of species. Like I did not find the sharp-fin hound shark, but I found a lot of other species just over my career where I find things that were not known. And so that's that's actually really cool to me. Like, okay, the shark's still here. Then I can go back and tell people, like, the people in that country, like, okay, we found this thing. Here's what occurs. They know what it is, and now they know how to work out. They develop policies for it.
But for you trying to make a living out of this whole, authoring a book, trying to make a living out of it, why are you veering away from the
Sexy
the sexy sharks?
The sexy sharks.
Yeah.
That's
what people attract.
Well, I mean, I've worked on. In fact, one of my first publications was on the white shark, age and growth of white sharks, way back in the last century, and there's nothing wrong with them and stuff, but just how many people do you need to study white sharks?
Right.
I mean, you go like South Africa, where I just came back from South Africa. They have one of the 5 most richest shark faunas in the world.
Shark what?
Shark faunas, diversity. In terms of diversity, and yet 98% of the people there work on white sharks.
Yeah.
And that's it. And
Because it's sexy.
yeah, it's sexy. You get
Right.
a lot of it looks really good. You post on like Instagram.
Yeah,
or something.
yeah, yeah,
Well, we
yeah.
just
Great.
talked about that.
We just saw that.
We just watched a video
The
Yeah.
gal.
of this cute girl swimming with a 20-foot great white in Hawaii. And I looked over at Neil
petting it
instantly.
petting it like a cat.
Holding on to the side of fin
Yeah.
and cruising along. And I looked at Neil and I said, does that great white think of her as a Twinkie?
Well, it's a good thing you brought that up because if you go on like Instagram, you see all these pictures, and it's usually like some young, attractive woman swimming with a white shark or patting a tiger shark on the nose. Well, if you guys haven't seen it, go out and rent a movie called Grizzly Man and watch how that one ends, because that's kind of what's going to happen. At some point, one of these people are going to get nailed on this thing. But the thing is, like, a lot of times they say the sharks are looking for something that has like a lot of energy for them, like something that has protein, which means a lot of fat. So like, some fat guys like us could be out there.
Right.
We're probably going to be more attractive than some young, petite, cute
So if you're going
girl
to
out there.
swim with sharks, be skinny.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that's a good.
Or
go with the fat
Or
guy.
if you can't be skinny, bring someone heavier.
They go with a fat dude.
Yeah, that's
Nicole!
Speaking of which,
we have a guest here.
oh, cool.
Are you sticking around for the show?
I can stick around for a bit.
You bring Bud Light?
No, I brought a different beer.
Okay, good. This is
Discussion.
Dave Ebert.
Nicole.
Hi, Dave.
Nice to meet
She
you.
owns the store down right next
down the
door.
street. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So that's what you want to swim.
Right,
for
exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
so
Right,
she'll give her the shark.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, she'll be like if she'll want to go like surfing or swimming with you guys,
Right.
because chances are you guys are gonna be on the menu more than she will.
So is that a really good reason for surfers to work on their weight program?
Absolutely.
Hot tip right there, folks.
There you go.
Yeah.
So when you're doing hot yoga,
Yeah.
okay, when you're thinking about it,
Yeah. So you're just thinking about not being shark food.
Exactly. That's the idea. That's the whole idea.
what's your personal favorite shark?
Probably if I had, I always like to say it's the one I haven't discovered yet. That's my favorite one.
Yeah.
Because I'm always looking for something new and stuff. But if I had to pick one that kind of like got my whole career started, it'd be the 7-gill shark.
The what?
The 7-gill shark.
Okay.
That you see you'll see if you go to the Monterey Bay Aquarium, they're common over there.
Absolutely.
And so they're one of the sharks to look for. But that's kind of I started my whole career was looking at 7-gill.
Just so you want to know, this is a 3-gill.
Yeah. So this is
Is there really a 3-gill?
well, no, because there is no such shark as a 3-gill shark.
Okay, all right.
I think they cut his neck off.
What kind of shark do you think this could be?
I don't know. Blue
Something
shark.
with a shark? No.
Blue shark.
Yeah, a blue shark.
And getting back to the spotted spike,
Sharp fin hound shark.
shark fin hound shark.
Yeah.
Well, why did that shark disappear?
We don't know. That's a good question. It probably. I mean, the obvious thing is
The fish end up in the fish market.
obvious question would be fishing. You know, it's hard to say, but you know, we don't know. But it is telling that the older fishermen know what it was and stuff. So it's kind of you got an idea.
Is that the canary in the coal mine?
Yeah,
Is when you start
exactly.
losing the sharks?
Absolutely. These are the sharks. By the time you start white sharks start disappearing, it's kind of a little late in the game at this point. It's all of these other sharks that you really need to be paying attention to, like these sharp-fin hound sharks and stuff, because they're vanishing. And it's like one of like 5 species in Ecuador, for example, that haven't been seen in decades. Now, I'm not saying because you haven't seen them that they're gone extinct, but you know, and a lot of times when I go look for them, it's just nobody's bothered to look for them. In this case, I think there's trouble.
I just met with Chris Gagliotti from Specialized Helicopter.
Oh yeah.
He said, Neil,
Hi, Chris.
Neil, this year, the sharks have been. There's not as many as they have been in many years. It's a surprise. There's very few out here by the cement boat anymore.
Well, that was kind of it was kind of an anomaly because they never really saw them that much until about 2014 and stuff. And then Chris contacted me and said, I'm seeing all these like little white sharks up here. So that was kind of telling, the fact that they hung around for most of the last almost 8, 9, 10 years now. Now I haven't talked to them lately, so I didn't know they weren't seeing them as much this year. But it could be.
Where did they go?
I don't know.
They're
which leads me to what we talked about before about him telling us about the chances of a shark.
Knowing you're in the water?
Yeah.
That really messed with me, by the way.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So
And let's repeat what you said.
Okay.
If I recall correctly, you said if we go surfing down at La Selva Beach and we step out there and jump on our board and paddle, you said there is a great white shark that knows you did that.
Probably yes. I could say this from going up with Chris in his Specialized Helicopters there, because you see, like, especially around the cement boat, you'd see these like kids playing in the surf and everything, and just right in back of the surf there's like a half a dozen or more great white sharks. They're small ones. They're babies. They're only like 6 feet long. But
Okay, we'll do a little contest right here.
Oh, okay.
You ready for that?
Sure.
We've been planning this shit.
Oh, really? do I win a prize?
Starting at Manresa and ending at Waddell.
Okay.
Okay, what's the chance of? We're going to give you different surf spots. We're going to give you different surf spots.
Okay.
And the chance of seeing a great white are 1 out of 10. One being
What time of year? Because now is actually a good time of year. They're going to be starting to leave now. So like the next few months till about April, they're probably not going to be
September.
September. Ooh.
Good month. Okay.
Good.
Let's
Sharky
start
month.
with Waddell.
Chance
of seeing a great white shark are
pretty good.
Pretty good.
Well, let's define.
1 out of 10. 1 being no, 10 going, oh yeah.
Well, you're right in the middle of the red triangle, so I'd say like you're up to like 8, 9, 10 if 10's a high. But if you're talking September, October, August, that time of year,
Davenport.
Oh yeah. But the thing is, most of the time you're in the water, you won't see them at the surface unless they kind of want you to. But yeah, all that area there is that's all really Shark Central around there.
Waddell was my big shark encounter.
Yeah.
I saw a
I've
Volkswagen
been
bus.
surfing up there too. Huh?
A Volkswagen bus swam by.
Yeah.
And wasn't interested in this.
Well, they used to go. Well, they used to go up to the other place up at Pescadero.
Yeah, I've been
Used to be
surfing.
I used to go. I used to do abalone diving back in the day up there with my brother and stuff. And like they had a couple of attacks back up there in the
Almost up there,
80s.
yeah.
There was one at Pigeon Point.
Yeah,
My friend
Pigeon
Ernie
Point.
pulled that diver out of the water.
Yeah. I know there was a couple of guys who were attacked and survived. One guy was killed. I know a few kayakers got hit. So they're around.
So and again, that's the big sexy beast.
Right.
Are the little ones dangerous? The tiny, you said most sharks
Well,
are little, right?
yeah.
Is that the Florida ankle snappers?
Yeah, like those little like spinner sharks and black tips like you get in like in Florida. What happens there a lot of times, I know from talking to people, like the people wait out there like in a bunch of bait fish and they're trying to catch tarpon or something out there, and they're sitting there and there's all this bait swimming around. You get the little sharks come in there and they like nip your ankles, your calves and stuff, and it hurts.
Just a flesh wound, though.
It's a flesh wound.
I don't want no shark nipping on me.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
They're sharp teeth. Their teeth are
There's
sharp.
that one in Hawaii though with the one we talked about in that video you sent me with the smallest shark with the biggest teeth with the big teeth.
Oh, the cookie cutter.
Oh, cookie cutter.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
The cookie
We
cutter
haven't
has
talked about the cookie cutter before.
it has the biggest teeth of any shark
big?
compared to its body. It only gets like 2.5 feet, but it has massive teeth, and because it's like a parasite, just like sucks onto you, just like takes a little cookie cutter bite out of you.
Have you had one do that to you?
No, hell no.
That's like the Humboldt squid does that, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I told you that story last time I was here was where the guy was doing these island swims in Hawaii.
Yeah.
They swim overnight. Like, you're out of your freaking minds. Like, but they do that, and some guy got about maybe 10 years ago got bit on the chest and on the ankle by a cookie cutter shark.
Are they a gang shark or are they nomadic?
I think they attack in groups because sometimes you'll see tunas and stuff. They'll have a whole bunch of bites. You'll see sea lions the same. They'll have a whole bunch of fresh bites at them, and it's probably multiple ones that they move in groups.
The cookie cutter.
Yeah.
They're like
Is
wolves.
that what's called, cookie cutter shark?
Yeah, because it takes a little cookie cutter bite out of you.
Who named that one?
I have no idea, but I think it was very appropriate though.
So you've named 50. What's your favorite name?
Oh man, what's a good name for one? Yeah, it's funny. I haven't really thought about that. I'd have to go with like my niece Lana saw shark.
Yeah.
Oh, the Lana saw shark.
Yeah, I have to go with that.
And why is it the saw
Or I
shark?
could. I don't want to play favorites here. So it could be Austin's guitarfish.
Okay.
Who's my nephew, so I was like, I don't
So
want
your
to.
niece and your nephew both. Neil, aren't we next?
I'm waiting.
Isn't there I figure there or the off the lip spotted shark? Like I feel like we could,
I'll work on that one
Well,
for you.
we're gonna have to grease the wheels a little bit, with some extra socks. Merge more.
I know.
There you go.
But that would be a
That'd be-
highlight to be having
it would
a
be an
shark
honor, right?
An honor.
Well, maybe
Right.
we have to sponsor a trip where he goes and finds us something.
Oh, there you go. I go and find something for you.
All right, so you talked about you just got back from South Africa.
Yeah, I got back from South Africa. But like I was having a lunch with a friend of mine here recently, and like we were talking. She had a couple of her young grad students there. We talked about a lot of these places to go to, and because everybody always asks me like, "What's it like when you go to these places like with the sharks and stuff? Aren't you worried about them?" I'm like, no. It's like usually, here's what you got to worry about: civil unrest, political assassinations, dengue fever, malaria,
Right.
pirates, the other sort of the human things that incur with stuff. I mean, like when I went to Ecuador and stuff, like they were having their elections there at the time. Like I think when I was there, like they knocked off like 4, 5, 6 guys, including the mayor of the town I was at.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I get there, I roll in, I just like get checked in the hotel, I go down, sit down, and meet some colleagues and stuff, and immediately I see all these military trucks come by with the troops in there, because just like the day before the election, I go, oh.
The shark business is tough.
Well, the Lost Shark Trip's an official expedition now, all the military's
And I
here.
don't picture you like wearing a black suit and dark glasses
No,
and stuff.
no. I make sure everybody knows I'm here,
What we can do is give you extra socks to give to the military. Get them off your back.
Those guys are actually not too worried about it. So it's the drug cartels you get worried about and stuff.
Yeah.
Because they want to.
Seems like a good way to raise money if you tell the Packard Foundation that you're going to name a fish Lucille, and for the extra bucks to send you to. Well, so how long has it been since you found a shark that's been lost?
Let's see. Well, it's been a little slow the last. I think I've got one. I got a few kind of about a year ago. Got a few, and these were kind of found. Actually, I got one here recently. It just came in when I was in South Africa. It was one that hasn't been seen for about 40 years, and it came in on a scientific survey. And
what's that mean? Came in on scientific?
Oh, it was a research
Catching
a research
fish
ship.
research?
Yeah, a research ship that was working off Tanzania. Because this happens a lot of times. They'll catch them and they'll send in all the specimens down to one of the. I have an affiliation with the South African Institute for Aquatic Biodiversity in South Africa, and so I work out of there. So they'll send stuff there, and then I'll go in and I'll identify the stuff for them. And one of the species I just saw there was a skate I named. It was actually named a few years ago. I named it in 2019. It hasn't been seen since 1980, and a specimen just came in. So even though it was dead, it tells me, okay, these things are around. They're still around. The fact they caught one, and so that was probably the most recent one I had.
Does that make your day?
Oh yeah.
I mean, is that the?
Oh, I get. It's like Christmas. In my world,
What do you do-
Christmas comes
what do you
every
do-
day.
What do you do to celebrate? You get a brand new shark.
Oh, yeah.
You get to name it.
Yeah.
Santa Claus bought it
Big
instead.
night out on the town that
Big
night.
night, yeah, well,
Celebrate what
no,
happened.
okay. Yeah, 'cause actually that's when the work starts. I'll have like a few like fist pump moments. I go like, oh great, man, I'll have just a little bit of a celebration, because then I have to go into like, okay, now I got to take all the measurements on it, like write up a formal paper for it and all that kind of stuff to document. It's because the scientific papers are really like a historical document in these things that I do.
Are you strictly a shark guy? Have you
Well-
thought about moving to like whales, orcas, different species?
You know, when I was earlier in my career, I did all kinds of fishes, mammals, invertebrates. But as I kind of gone along in my career, I just really at this point, I just want to focus in on doing the shark stuff I do.
Yeah.
And I try to. The thing is, I work with some really terrific people, like down in Ecuador and Peru, some young people down there. They're kind of starting out in their careers, or in their sort of 30s and stuff. And I'm just at that point, like I'm trying to pass along a lot of my knowledge to them. 'Cause I'm not, sadly, I won't be around forever,
Right,
as much as
yeah.
I'd like to be, but I want to like pass on my knowledge as much as I can.
What year did you see Jaws?
It's 1975.
In the theater?
Yep.
And I think you told us that was the day you said, I'm going to do this.
No, actually, no. The funny story is, I actually wanted to do this since I was 5. I saw Jaws when I was 15 or so, because I was in high school at the time. And in fact, I went over at the old Steinbeck Theater on Cannery Row in Monterey.
Wow.
Did they need a bigger boat?
Yeah, well, the funny thing in that was that if you saw the size of the freaking shark.
Well, it's massive. I went to Universal Studios.
Yeah.
It's a big one.
Well, I think I told you before that my advisor for my PhD, he actually designed the shark for the movie.
What was that guy's name?
Leonard Campagna.
He's on the bottom. He's in your book, right?
Yeah. He was a mentor to me when I started out in my career, and this is years before I knew him, but he worked there, and that must have been. I would love to have been like a fly on the wall to see him running around there. He's a little bit of an eccentric guy, but it was him and Spielberg running around doing the shark stuff. But when they had in the movie, a big scene in there is when the white shark jumps in the back of the boat.
Yeah.
And at that time, like, you thought, oh, this is just a monster movie. I mean, I never took it because I was like, probably where I was in the water, I was just like diving or doing something. So it was just like a monster movie. But you thought like, oh, sharks can't do that. And then I went to South Africa about 10, 12 years later. And about 12 years later, and I was like, well, these sharks really do that. They can reach out of the water. They do some pretty spectacular stuff. And
We've
you're
seen
like,
that.
We saw it.
Yeah.
We saw one right out here in Pleasure
oh,
Point.
they do it here too.
Yeah. It got 4 feet out of the water.
I started my day today with talking to Kim Rutherford. You know who Kim Rutherford is? She's an ocean
Swimmer.
Oh, okay.
She's swam from Monterey to Santa Cruz, which is backwards.
Oh, yeah, okay,
rather than with the current.
Right.
But all those long distance swimmers, they go swimming out to Farallon Islands and back.
Yeah.
None of them have been attacked by a shark.
No, I mean, well, when you think about this, the statistics I always use is like, since 1950 to now, there's been between anywhere from no shark attacks a year to maybe 8 or 9 at most, and with an average of 3 to 4 a year, in that 73-year period. Well, population in California has gone from like about 10 or 15 million to 40 million, and people are way more in the water now.
Yeah.
But the number of attacks hasn't increased.
It's funny because I was like thinking about this. If we interviewed the shark and we're like, hey, shark, how come you're not eating everybody?
Well, you're not in the menu.
Well, I guess so, but like What
Well, I
would
mean,
their answer be? You're not on the menu.
I mean, that's who you are. You might be on the menu right now because you're
I
packing 2 bills, bro.
I am the
This little
Twinkie.
thing over here, okay, this little twig right here.
Spit it right out.
Yeah, there's no protein there.
Well, it seems like we don't have to dwell on the great white thing, but it is it's such a great deal. But it seems like normally with great whites, a lot of the accents are them like taking a taste and saying yuck.
Well, that's they don't have hands. They can't manipulate stuff, so they'll a lot of times they'll come up, they'll bite something, and they'll let it go instead of checking something out.
Right, and then I've also heard because they have they like to see hurt it and get it weak, and then
they'll bite because when you think normally they'd go after a seal or a sea lion, and they have like claws basically. They're kind of an evolutionary from close to a bear, so they don't want. So they'll go in. If you see a lot of times they'll have scratches around their eyes and their head. That's probably from a sea lion or something. So they'll go in there. They'll bite and then they'll back off, and it gets to sort of the bite and spit thing, and then they'll hopefully let it bleed out and die.
Let's give him. We've gotten off track on this.
Yeah.
The best decade.
Oh, okay.
Which decade and right?
Well, we do this often. If you've watched the show,
You're seasoned.
We ask our customers and our
right
people
here.
on the best decade of your life,
Oh, 80s, easy.
and why?
80s.
Yeah.
Donald Summer, or was there a shark that came?
Were you a disco duck?
No.
Okay.
It's 70. You're talking 70.
70s was disco
80,
duck.
yeah.
Okay. So
no.
the 80s. Oh, so you were a little new wave.
No, just kind of rock and roll.
right.
Journey and that kind of stuff.
And you had finished your school in the 80s.
No, I did my master's in the early to mid 80s, and then I had 2 years off, and then I went to South Africa in the 80s and spent 4 years there on a camping trip basically. And so that was like my best time. So it was just kind of, I was traveling around. I was young, had nothing else to do, and just was like, oh, something sounded cool. Like, oh, wait, we'll go to Taiwan for a while there.
Wow,
so,
all right.
Yeah, so that was kind of, it was a great time.
We're taking it one step further. In your career, not the pre-college, but in your career of doing this shark research and marine research, was there a day that floats to the top?
Boy, that's a tough one. There's been a few days that have kind of like, it's either like not getting eaten by a shark, which I told you that story.
Where was that?
Oh, you were in the little boat.
Yeah, the little boat.
Okay, yeah, the great. So yeah, think about that.
That was one of the lake. That was a lake.
That one you needed a bigger boat. You can imagine.
It was a lake, right?
No, it was in a lagoon.
Lagoon.
In Namibia. It was like we were in like a 10-foot rowboat, and literally the shark was bigger than the boat, and so we were like, rowing like hell. Let me tell you.
Did it look like an angry shark, or was this a happy shark?
I'm here, so it had to have been a happy shark. I think if he was angry, I wouldn't be standing here talking to you.
12 foot? Yeah. Probably.
At least, 12. I mean,
Fat one?
Actually, at the moment, like it was just sort of a. It was a blur. It was like, that's a big fucking
See,
shark.
I just scratched Namibia off my
vacation.
vacation.
Do you know
vacation.
that great white shark?
Oh yeah,
It was a great white.
there's no doubt with
It was
that.
a great white.
No doubt.
Were you
about it.
looking for great whites on that
No,
trip?
I was about getting 7-gill sharks.
And what's the great white doing in the lagoon?
Well, good question. I don't know. In fact, we asked some of the people in the little town there. We said, like, you guys ever see great whites out here? And he goes, no, we didn't even know they occurred here. Well,
Don't swim in the lagoon.
yeah, we go. Well, you might keep an eye out for it next time, So,
Wow.
yeah.
And the battle between a 14-foot great white and a 14 or so foot orca.
Orca's going to win.
Orca
I think the orca's the orca's the CHP of the ocean. It's got radar, sonar.
Yeah,
Okay.
you probably heard this story about these couple of orcas that have been feeding on white sharks in South Africa.
Right.
A colleague of mine, Allison Towner, has been like studying this everything, and I don't know what to make of it because there used to be a lot of white sharks there. I think a lot of them the population shifted a little bit. I don't know if it's. I mean, they seem to think it's these orcas, but it's only 2 orcas. We have here in Monterey Bay, we have all kinds of orcas out here.
Yeah.
Plenty of white sharks, and there are. I know there've been a few films out. People have filmed at the Farallones where orcas took a white shark out.
Yeah.
But
Are they bad orcas? Because I saw they're in South Africa. I think it's South Africa. They're attacking boats too.
No, that's Portugal.
Oh, that's Portugal, right? Yeah. Like
I think
bad actors.
Yeah, I think people because the whales, a lot of those orcas, they're pretty smart. And I think if people have done something from a boat or something, so they probably associate the boat with something. But I'm speculating, but they're smart. They might just.
How do you feel about these orcas that are in what's the place in San Diego?
SeaWorld.
SeaWorld,
yeah.
and all these places that have these animals, beautiful animals in captivity.
Well, they're not so much in captivity anymore. They just kind of stopped doing that stuff. But I gotta, growing up, you saw a lot of that stuff. Again, growing up in the '60s and '70s, it was so new to see because you weren't really in the ocean, and I think for a lot of people you talk to, it kind of inspired them to want to go study marine biology or be out on the ocean or be conservation.
They could have helped.
Yeah, I mean, for that individual one, you can. Well, you're looking at from 2023 to like the 60s and 70s and 80s, whereas it was just a different time there, and you didn't have the accessibility you do now to see these things, except if you went to an aquarium or a zoo.
Right.
So, if you put in that time frame and stuff, I think it was a good thing.
What's the main difference between Guy Kawasaki's podcast and our podcast?
You guys are great. I love you guys.
Definitely.
You provide.
Did Guy Kawasaki have a hand
Yeah,
puppet?
did you have that guy, huh? No way.
Like a beer?
Sure.
For sure.
Sure, why not?
Everybody drinks in the show, so.
Yeah, I know. So.
And getting back to your recent travels, you said you were in Peru.
Yep.
And what were we looking for in Peru?
Same thing. I worked with a number of young colleagues, Peruvian and Ecuadorian, who were just amazingly helped. I had a young Peruvian cinematographer, Denise Sotomayor, who did the filming for the whole thing. We're actually putting together a short little documentary on the whole journey.
Oh wow!
And it'll be out later next year, and I'll let you guys a shout when it comes out. And so I worked with a couple of other Adriana Ceballos from Ecuador and Adriana Pistana from Peru. Terrific young people going out and really help get around because I don't really speak any Spanish, but they do, and they know the fishermen, they know the people to go talk to. And as I say, we filmed this. It was a little different because we filmed this whole journey, and so we're working on putting together a short video now, a documentary on this whole on what it's like to go look for these things. Because I say, people think about the sharks of it, but you don't think about a lot of stuff like I mentioned, you run into civil unrest, you run into malaria, you get out of a hurricane, we had an 7.5 earthquake. I mean, just stuff tsunami. You don't realize a lot of stuff things you have that you don't think about. So that's kind of the adventure part of it. Really comes in more, and some of the things you have to deal with to kind of get to learn to get through there.
If you weren't the shark guy, the world-renowned shark guy, what would you be doing? Do you think? What would
What would I be doing?
As he takes a sip of a beer.
I have no idea. Here's a good story for you guys. I don't think I've told you this one before. So I did tell you part of it.
We only have you come down here because your stories.
Yeah,
great story.
Oh, yeah. So I had
next to TC, you're the world's best storyteller.
Okay. So when I was about 5 years old, my parents gave me a book on sharks, and I just thought these were the coolest things around. Now, at the time in the '60s, there was no field of shark research. Literally, Jaws. They talk about Jaws and Peter Benchley. I know Steven Spielberg talked about how it was a negative. Actually, those two guys laid the foundation for modern shark. The entire field started because of Jaws. Really, before Jaws, it was just Shark Attack. It was the only funding they would do.
But they were killing sharks. Now they turned that around.
No, they were killing sharks before that.
Right.
It just brought them out of the shadows so people were aware of it. Well, when I was in high school, I said I saw Jaws, and that was just I was already going I wanted to go study sharks, even though there was no field.
Before the movie, there was no big production, no big.
The first movie,
as far as sharks, right?
The first thing that came out, if you guys want to see a good movie, is watch Blue Water, White Death, 1971.
No. Shark movies always have to have
it was people like Rod and Valerie Taylor, Peter Gimbel, Stan Waterman. These guys, it was the first time they went out to actually try to film a white shark in the wild, and it's very raw footage and stuff. But if you want to see some what it was like before they had all the fancier filming today, it's a pretty good, very good movie.
What year did that come out?
71.
Blue Water, White Death.
Yeah, check it out. You can rent it out on Amazon.
The name is crazy.
Oh yeah, no, it's
gotta be rated R.
But again, you have to look at in the thing you'll see because They went out. They literally traveled around the world to film white sharks, and it was different because they weren't trying to kill them.
They were getting in cages. They were getting in cages, right?
This is the first time guys were actually using cages
Right.
to do this. And they say they went to like a whaling station in Durban, South Africa. And so they got things that showing like, harpooning whales and stuff a little bit, but the sharks would come in to feed on the whales.
Oh, wow.
So it's a really cool thing to see. But the interesting story is like, so I went and saw the movie Jaws when I was in high school. And then, your senior year rolls around and like, they have you come in like before you graduate to talk to your guidance counselor.
What do you want to do for work?
What are you doing for work? Well, you can imagine my advisor. I went to Palma, then Salinas there, and congratulations, guys! You win the CCS Division III football champions.
That's right.
So anyway, I went in there and he asked me like, so you're going to be graduating here. What do you plan to do? And I said, well, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to travel the world and study sharks. And he's like, okay, sure, okay. Yeah, and then he says, and he says, do you have a plan B? And I was like, no, not really.
Have you been back there?
What?
Have you been back there?
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is, about 10 years after I had that, and I'll say he was great because he didn't discourage me. He just was like, he just said, great, great, good luck on that shark thing. But you might think of a plan B. But good luck on the shark. Well, about 10 years later, just before I went to South Africa, I ran into him. I used to see him once in a while, but I told him what I was doing and stuff, and I said, do you remember talking to me about like when I was in high school about I wanted to travel the world and study sharks? And he's like, oh yeah, I did. With all the thousands of kids I had came through.
That's awesome.
You're the only guy I ever had said he was going to study sharks. I told him what I was going to do, and I said like, what'd you think about it? He goes, well, the thing is, I saw so many kids in my career, and when I see somebody like you, he goes, honestly, I didn't think the shark thing was going to work out, but you had a direction.
Yeah.
And most kids I have come in here have no idea what they're going to do, but you had a direction, so I wasn't going to get in the way of that.
What school was that?
That was Palma.
Palma. In Salinas?
In Salinas, yeah. And I always thought, I look back on that he could have been like, are you out of your freaking mind? Like, but he was just like, okay, well, good luck on that thing. And he was very, so anyway, it was a good interaction, and the fact that you remembered it and said like it was, I didn't want to stay on your way. Yeah. And I just pursued it, and I'm still doing sharks today, 40 years later. So it was that was pretty good.
What, 12 months? Do we have some plans for your 12
months? I was going to ask the same thing. What are you going for now? What are you eyeing up now?
Well, what I'm working on now is, again, thanks Save Our Seas Foundation. I'm going next year. I'm going to be going to Indonesia and hopefully Vietnam, looking for some more lost sharks out there. And in fact, when I talk about sharks, I don't want to forget. I'm also talking about rays, because rays are flat sharks. Yeah. So when I say sharks, I'm also including the rays. And so my plan right now, I'm going to be putting together an expedition to go to Indonesia and Vietnam, looking for some sharks and rays.
And can I wanted to just jump in one thing, Neil. Is shark fin soup a big problem from what is happening to the shark populations?
It's like a lot of things. They fish them more now. Shark finning was going on like before Jaws came out. It's just people only in the last, that was in the 70s, people in the last decade, 10, maybe 20 years, kind of got more dialed in on shark fin. And again, it's one of those things that I used to see when I was a young person going travel around the world. You see them, but you're just like, oh well. And I've had shark fin soup a few times, and I don't. It's like chicken noodle soup, I guess. I don't know, but now it's on everybody's radar, so they pay more attention to it and stuff. And yeah, I mean it's a big market because you can get a lot of money for the fins. The thing in a lot of the parts of the world though is that they're catching the sharks for eating anyway. Yeah. And so the fact that the shark's already being consumed, and when I'm talking about consumed, these are places that like artisanal fisheries where there's people if you don't catch anything, you're not eating. Right. And since the shark's dead, if they can cut the fin off and make some money, I don't have a big problem.
You never really see it in restaurants around here.
No. It's California.
Yeah, but but the rest of the world, they're eating. And what's the best eating shark? Is there a best eater?
Boy, I don't know. I mean, I like thresher, mako sharks are good eating.
But let me ask. You're swimming in the ocean, or lagoon, wherever. Yeah. What shark do you not want to see coming at you?
Anyone bigger than me.
Anyone bigger than you?
Any shark bigger than me, I don't want to see it coming at me.
Which is quite a few.
Well, you got to. Well, yeah, you're right.
Right.
But there's exactly. It could be a number. There's obviously I think white sharks, tiger sharks, but you got things like bull sharks,
makos.
Makos.
I think it was that one you told that story in South Africa how those two sharks were throwing
the
some
surfer
Oh
at
yeah,
each
throwing
other.
the surfer. Yeah,
throwing the surfer back
A
and
little known thing is that white sharks, when you see one, you can almost guarantee there'll be at least another one or two around. They move in loose groups, and people
So
think,
you're like I was surfing a man recently the other day, going, yeah.
I hear this story about these sharks throwing the surfer back and forth. I feel like it's two guys playing smash ball at privates.
Well,
Are they smiling and having a good time while they do that?
On that instance I told you about in South Africa, where there's two white sharks were basically playing with this guy. The way that it was described to me by one of the guys that was there, surfers, it was like a cat playing with a mouse. It didn't want to kill it or eat it, or it didn't want to eat it, but it just basically played with it. And that's what it looked like these two sharks were doing.
Oh, thank you.
I don't think of sharks as playful. But are they? Are they?
Well, clearly, two white sharks in South Africa 30 years ago thought it was playful.
Have you? Can you regularly like pet sharks? Are there sharks that are like happy to get scratched behind the ear?
It's a wild animal. That's how you think about, like, would you walk up and would you pat a grizzly bear on the nose or scratch its ear? A wolf, mountain lion. Just think of any predator around here. No, the answer is no.
Yeah. Well, I said that when we saw the girl swim with a great white. I was like, you don't go on the savannah and jump out of the jeep and pet the tiger.
No.
Yeah, no.
It's maybe a little morbid.
It's okay.
But Dave, you know us. We ask anything.
Well, that's why I love coming on your show.
On your epitaph, the fuck is it going to say?
Still searching for lost sharks.
Bingo!
Still searching.
Still searching.
Let me ask you this question. Would your I see the what do you call this thing?
The tombstone.
The tombstone.
Yeah.
Now, is your tombstone going to be like a shark?
Ooh,
I had not even thought about that.
Right?
I hadn't even thought about that.
That's.
I'll come back next time I'm on the show. I'll come back and answer for
Or
you.
do we feed
You got it.
Do we feed you to the
It's got to
sharks?
be right. It's got to be like a shark fin.
Yeah, I'd probably have like some kind of a shark breaching or
Yes.
something maybe. Not a fin. A fin looks too.
I thought he'd be like, no, just take me to Waddell, throw me out of the boat.
I'd probably just have honestly just spread my ashes out here in the bay. I'd be
We're
happy.
just taking you whole.
I'd rather just be one with the environment, dust to dust or whatever. So
When I was a kid, there was a great white at Golden Gate Park in that place, the museum there, and it didn't live very long. Maybe they tried to release it and didn't
is it the Calicat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But why is that? Why can't, historically, you go to Monterey Bay Aquarium and they have sharks in there, but no great whites?
They did. Monterey Bay was successful at keeping them for about 6 months when they caught small ones for a while, and then they kind of stopped the program. But it was the thing is they're fast. They're really fast. The Calicat tried to they built that whole roundabout tank just so that thinking the shark could swim around that, and it didn't work out. And then Monterey had that big open ocean tank, which they also tried. And the sharks were fine, but they'd catch them about like 5.5, 6 feet, like these young of the year. And then they found out these things would grow to 7 or 8 feet within 6 months. Yeah. And then, because a lot of these sharks do, they talk about slow growing, but a lot of these sharks, when they're born, they'll grow pretty rapidly, especially if they're in a food-rich environment. And so all these like 6-foot sharks you see out here in the bay, well, in about 6 months or by next year, they're probably going to be like 8 to 10 feet.
That's like a teenager boy.
So,
seventh graders, we have 6 footers now.
And when you get like, and the thing is, the shark suddenly when it goes from like say 6 feet to 8 feet, it's going to dominate the tank. It's going to eat everything in there because it lets it know who's there, who's in charge. And then you got to put divers in there to clean the tank. And that's just a cocktail for a disaster. So it's cool.
Can you imagine it?
You say you need a
You're not getting paid.
You need a skinny girl in there.
You're not getting paid. You're not getting paid enough to jump in that tank.
No, I'd be
right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Aquarists are kind of a dime a dozen. I understand, but I wouldn't know for sure. But at least like what I hear. So it's one of those things like it's one of those things like they're kind of cool to see, but with the video technology and stuff, you can you can show some good you can show some good stuff on that.
Well, like we saw the clip today of the girl in Oahu swimming with looked like about
Tiger
an 18 footer or something.
Yeah.
15 footer. It was a big one.
Yeah.
But of course it's being filmed. And if that thing could turn its head and take a bite, and that would be like viral footage of someone dying.
Well, they had about 5, maybe 6 months ago, they had somebody posted on Instagram a guy in Sharm el Sheikh in the Red Sea attacked by a tiger shark, and if you caught it, it was horrific to see. They eventually pulled it down, It was
The video
Was he trying to pet it?
no. It was somebody. He was just swimming there
in the Red Sea.
in the Red Sea. This is a popular spot. If you're a diver, you probably heard of Sharm el Sheikh. Yeah, there's a guy who was just swimming out there, and I've been there, so I know exactly.
I've been to a lot. You know what a lot is?
Yeah. This is further down the Sinai Peninsula. Anyway, and so I kind of knew where it was, but they had this. Somebody was just filming there, just filming a beach scene, and this guy got hit by a tiger shark, and it is horrific to see. And I mean, they took it down, but said that's what people need to see. Like, it's just
Didn't survive.
I don't know what happened, but it didn't look like he was going to be, because that shark when it went at him, it was just hitting him. And the thing is, I can't emphasize that it's a wild animal. Like I said, whatever you would not do to a bear or a mountain lion, don't do it to a shark.
Yeah.
It's just a wild animal.
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
Percentage of the shark population. You once said there were small ones are dominating the spectrum of sharks. They're mostly small.
Most of them are under 6 feet long.
But the shark population around the world is healthy.
It's it depends where you go. Like California and in the U.S. here, they're really good. I mean, the fact that we had these white sharks up here, the small ones for the last 10 years, speaks to the health of the bay. Because normally the nursery area is down in Southern California, but the fact they're here, that looks good. All the other sharks we get out here, the populations are generally pretty good. Yeah. But you go to some areas, it's not so good.
Is that because it's not on the menu in California?
No, I think just because they've actually done some. What I try to tell people is they've actually done some good policy here, but they never.
Fish.
Yeah, it's just fish. But the thing is, they never talk about. It's like, hey, take a pat in the back. We did something good here. Don't make it always seem so doom and gloom, because people go like, well, why am I going to try if nothing works? Mm-hmm. But the thing is here is you can go out and go, if you need to get food, you can go to food. But a lot of places I go, I can't overstate just how people live there, literally hand to mouth. If they don't catch something, they don't eat that day. Yeah. And I don't think a lot of people really fully. Well, we'll send in some food aid. We can't really do that. There's a lot of these places. You just can't do that. You just got to work with people to be able to fish and stuff.
They're eating shark because that's all they can eat that day.
Well, whatever they catch. If they catch some nice bony fish, they'll eat it. If they catch
how about rays? Are rays edible?
Oh yeah. They rays. I mean, a lot of these places, nothing goes back. Mm-hmm. I mean, especially go to Asia, anything they catch,
just boil it. Yeah. Throw a noodle in there.
Yeah, they just whatever they have. So they eat.
Dave, thanks for coming back on the show.
Thanks, guys.
We love you being part of the show.
We
love it that you all throughout the year you post stuff on our Facebook page. And
it's fun.
We love what you send us. Yeah. We love you coming on the show. TC and I always look forward to it. You are one of our most favorite guests. I'm saying that right now.
Thanks much. And if I could just say to people, I also, if you need more shark fix, I have a podcast I co-host called Beyond Jaws. Comes out every other week.
Are we on that podcast yet? We've been on that.
I think we'll have to have you guys on there. Andrew will have the guys on here. And stuff.
And another question: Save Our Seas.
Save Our Seas Foundation. Thank you guys so much, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be able to do the good work I do around the world. Thank you.
And is your work on there? Do they have any of that on their .org?
Yep. You can go on to SaveOurSeasFoundation.org. And you can read up on my project and a whole wealth of other projects that they do.
You couldn't do what you do without people like that, right?
Absolutely.
And the book, your last book is?
My next book coming out next year.
Book.
I have a book coming out. I'm just finishing it right now. It'll be out in the spring.
Christmas is coming. For Christmas.
Next year. But for right now, Sharks of the World.
Okay.
It's the one to get. And in the springtime, look for the sharks, rays, chimeras of the East Coast of North America. West Coast will be out in 2025.
There's no picture in that book.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
But I'll tell you something about your book. Sharks of the World is a big book.
Yeah.
And how many sharks are in that book?
That one has about 535 species, and there's been about 15 more added since then.
Yeah. Wow. So it's a lot. When you look at 500 sharks, a very interesting book. It's on our coffee table at the house. Yeah. And it's great. So always, Dave, awesome having you on the show. Love catching up. You guys out there, if you're skinny, you got it made. Yep. If you're a little overweight, time to get skinny, because sharks like you.
Hit the gym.
Sharks like you. We got Sharky.
We got Sharky. Dave's going to take Sharky home. It's a 3-gill. Doesn't exist except here. So everybody, thanks for tuning in tonight. And T. Fox, thanks for letting Sharky be on.
This was show number 869.
869. Thank you, Santa Cruz Waves, T. Fox, Neil, great show. We'll see Dave soon. Catch up on your next year's trips.
Yep.
We'll see you next time on the Off Lip Radio Show. Good night.
Dun dun. Dun dun.
Dun, dun.
Dun dun.
Dun, dun.
Dude.